To prove that humans and zombies can also have offspring, I went ahead and tied up a relatively clean female zombie, planning to develop feelings over time. So, it turns out the global zombie apocalypse arrived, and 90% of humanity turned into zombies. But I've activated a romance system that has nothing to do with the apocalypse. However, at that moment, my attention was captured by a particularly attractive zombie. This immediately made me realize that the dating system apparently has no restrictions on race or gender. Such a pretty zombie. What a waste to just leave her here. Thinking of this, I immediately took a rope out of my pocket. At this point, the zombie, probably too bored, kept banging her head against the wall. Seeing this, I tied one end of the rope to the fire hydrant. Meanwhile, there's a noose on the other side. With one fierce toss, I managed to trap the zombie. Then she shouted loudly, but in the very next second, a rat was stuffed into his mouth. The strong scent of human flesh nearby sent the zombie into a frenzy. Its head constantly inching closer to my side, I eagerly held his tiny hand. Suddenly, the sound of the system echoed in my mind. Congratulations on successfully completing the hand-holding mission. Your target, Cynthia, is a college student with a love for cosplay and a passion for all things zombie-related. Your relationship is deepening, albeit in an oddly undead way. Holding hands earns you a reward of 100 kilograms of raw meat, and for a first kiss, the reward is the zombie virus vaccine, complete clearance reward, genetic enhancement serum. Seeing this reward makes me breathless with excitement. Forget about the rewards that follow. Just the 100 kilograms of fresh meat for holding hands would be enough to feed me for 2.5 years. But the real challenge now is figuring out how to boost a zombie's favorability. Their brains are literally full of brains. Can they even comprehend what favorability means? After pondering for a moment, I pulled the rag out of Cynthia's mouth. He immediately roared at me, his sharp teeth clicking together with a crisp sound. I pulled a chunk of raw meat from the system and forcibly shoved it into her mouth. The growl abruptly ceased as he immediately started gnawing on the raw meat. Seeing this, I sighed, with teeth that sharp. It seems like the first kiss reward of stage 2 will have to be postponed for now. At that moment, the door to the neighboring room swung open and a man and a woman stepped out. Hey there, young man, my husband and I haven't eaten for 2 days. I see you've given plenty of food to the zombies. Could you spare us some? The newlywed couple, with the groom being David Zhao, a girl named Karen Lin, who often ordered takeout, found herself with no extra food at home. In my past life, I naively believed their lies and shared my food with them, thinking they would be grateful, but lo and behold, the moment I stepped out to scavenge for more supplies, they moved all my stuff out of my room and locked the door. No matter how much I shout, there's no response. Why would I even consider giving food to people like that? But hey, Karen Lin can still be useful. This is the system interface, displaying Karen Lin's profile, married, emotionally unstable. Holding hands will get you 100 kilograms of fresh fruits and vegetables, a 120 square meter house as a reward for a first kiss, a 1,000 square meter villa as a completion reward. Seeing this situation, I couldn't help but smile slightly. This was, after all, 100 kilograms of fruits and vegetables. Even though I'm not short on food right now, a balanced diet is very important. They saw me smile and assumed I agreed. David Zhao brazenly demanded, first, give us 10 pounds of pork, then add 3 barrels of purified water. I almost burst out laughing in anger. Aha! When did I ever say I was going to share with you guys? Though I have more food than I could ever finish. I'd rather feed the zombie dog than share it with you people, I said, pushing Cynthia back to the room. David Zhao glared resentfully at my retreating figure, wanting to rush forward, but hesitating because of the zombie I had on a leash. I went back inside the house, tied Cynthia securely, and then checked the system panel once more. I really didn't expect Cynthia's affection points to increase by 5. This reminds me of the late stages of the apocalypse in past lives, when quite a few zombies with advanced intelligence emerged. Could it be that even Cynthia might evolve, and with just this little bit of meat, her favorability increased by 5 points? Much easier to please than most women. Then, I fed Cynthia a few more pieces of raw meat, successfully raising her favorability towards me to 10 points. I originally wanted to keep feeding her, but seeing her stomach all bloated, I decided against it. After stuffing the rag back into her mouth, various devious plots started swirling in my mind. A month after the zombie outbreak, the terrifying extreme cold was set to arrive. Only 20 days left to prepare. Let's start by securing supplies. Food, drinks, clothing, and medicine are all easy to come by. I've never quite wrapped my head around the idea of a safe house that's supposed to keep you warm. In addition to having a stable structure, it also needs to maintain a consistent indoor temperature during a cold wave. Finding a building that meets those conditions is indeed challenging. From what I know, a place like that doesn't exist in Banhai City at that moment. I suddenly recalled Karen Lin's first kiss reward and immediately asked the system, is the house you're rewarding an existing one, or is it generated out of thin air? The system rewards you with a house that's conjured out of thin air, and the host can freely choose where to build it. What if I want a house that is more special, for instance? The house should be built using titanium alloy, complete with escape routes, storage facilities, and medical communication devices. Understood. What text would you like translated? The host is required to provide the architectural blueprints. Additionally, communication and medical equipment do not fall under the scope of construction, so you'll need to bring your own. This made me incredibly happy. Now my titanium insurance is safe and sound. Just then, there was a knock on the door. Karen Lin stood dumbfounded outside the door, which just wouldn't open, and she was getting quite anxious. Both ends of the hallway were shrouded in darkness, leaving one to wonder if a zombie might suddenly spring forth. Just as she was about to give up, the door finally creaked open. Karen Lin was initially delighted, but the moment she saw the kitchen knife in my hand, she panicked for a moment and quickly said, "Don't worry, I didn't bring any weapons." I squinted, giving her a once-over, seeing her dressed in a flimsy camisole, with light makeup on her face and a slick of glossy lipstick. I couldn't help but swallow hard. Those lips, I mean. This titanium alloy safe house is just irresistibly appealing. Karen Lin obviously noticed my reaction. If it were in the past, she would have already slapped me across the face. But now, she has no choice but to rely on me. She forced a smile and said, "I'd like to borrow some food." I glanced at her with complete disdain on my face. Unexpectedly, Karen Lin's voice turned tender as she advised you not to rush into refusal. At the same time, she leaned forward slightly, revealing an enticing view. "Don't worry about getting the short end of the stick," he said, deliberately leaving his sentence unfinished to let my imagination fill in the blanks. "Just give me a little of your food and..." "I'm not buying it. Explain yourself clearly, or I'll shut the door." Karen Lin decided to go all in. "I'll let you touch, just for a pound of meat. How does that sound?" I shook my head and immediately refused. Karen Lin's face darkened, thinking to herself that she'd already given so much. Yet this man still had the nerve to set conditions. "Fine. Just tell me what it takes for you to share a bit with me. Why don't you come in first, and we can talk inside?" Karen Lin showed no reaction upon hearing it. "Are you not afraid of a zombie suddenly popping up just as the words left his mouth?" The sound of a zombie's moan echoed disturbingly close by. Karen Lin's face turned ghostly pale, and she had no choice but to muster up the courage and step inside the house. Just as I was closing the door, she met eyes with David Zhao, who was sitting diagonally across from her.